The envelopes were stacked in a neat pile at the corner of the workbench, half hidden beneath a spool of red thread, and 9-year-old Ethan Turner noticed them the way children notice things adults have trained themselves not to see. 3 of them were unopened. One had a red stamp across the top that even a 9-year-old understood wasn't good news. He didn't say anything, not yet. He just filed it away, the way kids do, and kept following the old woman with silver hair and reading glasses pushed up into it toward the back room, where a rack of children's winter coats hung waiting for her needle. Evelyn Brooks didn't know her workbench had given away her secret. She was too busy pulling down a small blue coat with a torn pocket, chatting easily with the boy's father as though this were any ordinary Tuesday. And in a way, for her, it almost was. 3 winters earlier, that same father had stood in this exact doorway holding a different coat, Ethan's, back when he was 6. The fabric split clean along one seam, a button missing, the zipper hanging on by a thread. Michael Turner remembered every detail of that morning, the way you remember the worst days of your life, because it had been one of them. His wife had passed the year before. Work had dried up. He'd counted out exactly what was in his wallet 3 times on the drive over, praying it would be enough for a coat repair. Already rehearsing what he'd say if it wasn't. How much, he'd asked Evelyn that day, for the coat? Evelyn had looked at the boy first, not the coat, at the way he stood a little behind his father's leg, chin down, like he already expected to be told no. Your son deserves to walk into school with confidence, she'd said, threading her needle without looking up. That's payment enough. Michael had stood in that shop and felt something crack open in his chest that had nothing to do with the coat. He never forgot it. Not once. Not through the 18-hour days that followed. Not through the small construction jobs that slowly, stubbornly turned into bigger ones. Not through the year he finally stopped counting his wallet before walking into a store. 3 years had turned a man with nothing into the owner of a company with his name on the side of 6 trucks. And every winter, without fail, he thought about the woman who'd fixed his son's coat and asked for nothing. This December, he'd finally come back to thank her properly. He hadn't expected his son to notice a stack of overdue bank notices sitting in plain sight on her workbench. Ethan waited until Evelyn stepped away to answer the shop phone before he tugged his father's sleeve and pointed, quiet and serious in the way only children manage to be. Michael's eyes moved from the envelopes to the return address to the red stamp, and something in his stomach went cold. He didn't say anything until Evelyn came back, smiling, apologizing for the interruption, holding Ethan's old coat up to check her stitching against the light. Michael watched her hands, steady, practiced, the hands of a woman who had spent 30 years fixing things for other people's children. Evelyn, he said carefully, can I ask you something that isn't really my business? Her hands paused over the fabric. She knew, before he said another word, exactly what he'd seen. It's fine, she said, too quickly, folding the coat with more attention than it needed. Just a slow season. Every business has them. Evelyn. His voice was gentle, but it didn't move. She set the coat down. For a moment the shop was quiet, except for the soft tick of the space heater in the corner, and the birds she still fed every morning, outside, oblivious on the windowsill to what was happening inside. I mortgaged the shop 4 years ago, she finally admitted, her voice smaller than Michael had ever heard it. Medical bills, after my husband passed. I've been keeping up as best I can, but... She gestured at the envelopes, without looking at them, like acknowledging their existence too directly might make the whole thing more real. I have maybe 4 months before the bank takes it. 4 months, Michael repeated. I don't want anyone's pity, Michael. Her chin lifted, the same steady pride he remembered from 3 years earlier, when she'd have rather given away her time for free than watch a boy feel ashamed. I've built this place stitch by stitch. If it goes with dignity. Michael was quiet for a long moment, turning something over in his mind. Then he reached into his coat pocket, pulled out a checkbook, and set it on the counter. Evelyn's face closed instantly. No, absolutely not. I haven't even said a number yet. I know exactly what you're about to say, and the answer is no. Her hands trembled slightly as she pushed the checkbook back toward him. I fixed a coat, Michael. I didn't save your life. You don't owe me a mortgage. You didn't just fix a coat. Michael's voice cracked on the words, and for the first time that afternoon, he let her see exactly how much that morning 3 years ago had cost him to walk into, and exactly what her kindness had meant when he had nothing left to offer in return. You looked at my son like he mattered, when I couldn't afford to make him feel that way myself. I've thought about that every single day since. Let me do this. I can't take charity, Michael, not even from you. He nodded slowly, like he'd expected that answer, like he'd already thought 2 steps ahead of it. Then don't take it as a gift. He leaned forward. Think of it as a partnership. He laid it out carefully, the way a man lays out blueprints he's already drawn a dozen times in his head. He would pay off the loan, not as a favor, but as an investment in something they would build together. A non-profit workshop. Warm Threads, he called it on the spot, the name arriving before he'd fully thought it through. Evelyn would run it as head instructor, teaching teenagers, single parents, retired seamstresses who wanted a place to put their skills to use. Together, they'd repair donated coats and send them out through schools and shelters to families who needed them. She'd draw a real salary. She could repay him slowly if her pride demanded it, though he privately hoped she'd eventually let that part go. You wouldn't be losing your shop, he said quietly. You'd be growing it into something bigger than either of us could build alone. Evelyn didn't answer that afternoon. She sat with it for 3 days, turning it over the way she turned over fabric before the first cut, looking for the seam that told her which way it wanted to fall. On the 4th day, she called Michael and said yes, not because she needed saving, she told him firmly, but because she'd finally understood something she'd spent her whole life practicing without naming. That kindness grows stronger when it lets a person keep their dignity intact. Within a year, the little shop that had once been on the edge of closing had become the busiest room in town. Children who'd once carried in torn coats came back years later as teenage volunteers. Local schools organized winter coat drives that filled the workshop with boxes by November. Retired tailors Evelyn had known for decades offered their afternoons for free, just to be near the noise of it again. Every coat that left the workshop carried a small fabric label stitched inside the collar. Warmth is meant to be shared. One snowy afternoon, with sewing machines humming and volunteers laughing over a pile of donated wool coats, Ethan tugged Evelyn's sleeve the same way he had 3 years earlier, except this time there was nothing to hide. Do you know what you really fixed 3 years ago? He asked. Evelyn smiled, threading a needle without looking up, the way she always did. A coat? Ethan shook his head. No. You fixed the day I stopped feeling ashamed of being poor. Dad says that's the day everything started changing. Evelyn's hands went still on the fabric. She looked around the workshop, at the children trying on finished coats, at the volunteers bent over sewing machines, at Michael watching his son with an expression she recognized now as something like peace, and felt the tears come before she could stop them. That evening, she locked the workshop door as the last families walked out into the snow, coats zipped, buttons whole, pockets carrying small embroidered stars only they would ever find. She scooped up Milo from his spot by the window and stood for a moment watching the street empty out under the street lights. One stitch can repair a coat, she said softly, to no one but the cat and the quiet. But one act of kindness can mend generations. If this story touched your heart, please like, share, subscribe, and comment. Let's spread more stories of kindness and hope together.